Well, blessed Friday to you as we come with your daily encouragement. And we are in Revelation chapter 16, and we're in verse 12. We are at the sixth bowl of wrath. And this one, as you can see by its length, will be more complicated. So we'll kind of go through it a little slower too. But it is the decisive battle, which is called Armageddon. Now, the name Armageddon means harm mount of Amagit or Megiddo, and that is in central Israel. I had an opportunity to be there. I might have an opportunity to show you a picture of me being there in 1994, more almost now 30 years ago. And while I was there, it is a symbolic end of the story of the battles of God. It is a place where many Old Testament battles took place, decisive battles. So just like the other parts of the bowls of wrath kind of went to Exodus, this one kind of flashes forward to Old Testament history. And so the decisive battle of God will take place in the valley or by the mountain of Megiddo in central Israel. And so it is very symbolic. The other thing that's symbolic is the river Euphrates. And that is what begins our passage today. The river Euphrates has never been known to be dried up, but according to this world being topsy turvy in the book of Revelation, it is dried up in order that the enemies from the east could come against Israel at this time. And remember, Israel has sinned. The people of God that did not repent have sinned, and so the final wrath of God is coming at them. And so God's desire is for them to repent, but instead there is fear. And so it says, the sixth angel poured his bowl on the great river Euphrates, and its water was dried up in order to prepare the way for the kings from the east. Now, here is where we have something very opposite the book of Exodus. Remember, when we're dealing with evil in the world, it's the opposite of the stories that we have from the Bible. What happened when Israel was saved is the waters were flowing in the Red Sea, and then Moses put up his prayer hands, and the waters parted, and the people of God came about on dry land. Now, the river Euphrates was known to be a very busy waterway, but what has happened is that's been dried up in order for God to flow water. So instead of parting water on dry land, the land was already dry in order for God's work to come in. And what has happened is Euphrates was the boundary between Rome and the Parthians. And so the spirits that are coming from the east are imagined as enemies coming against the kingdoms, coming against Israel that had allied itself with Rome and had become part of this world. And so this was the last judgment of God as the enemy is coming in, not on dry land, but on land that was already dried, has now become flushed with water, bringing in the last wrath, the evil. And so it says the sixth angel poured out his bowl on the great river Euphrates, and its water was dried up in order to prepare the way for the kings of the east. And so, who are these kings of the east? Well, first of all, there's emissaries. And I saw three foul spirits like frogs coming from the mouth of the dragon and from the mouth of the beast and from the mouth of the false prophet. Now, where have we seen this unholy trinity? We saw it way back in Revelation 13. And so we had three spirits. We had the dragon, which symbolizes Satan. And then we have the beast that comes out of the sea, that is described in Revelation 13. And then we had the beast of the land, or it is called the false prophet, the one who imitates the Lord but is not from the Lord. So we have the earthly power and the spiritual power all coming from the dragon, with their emissaries coming out of their mouth, the frogs. And so it is a very vile thing that is happening. The last bowl, or the almost the last bowl. We haven't got to the seventh bowl. We're at the sixth bowl. We are nearing the end to that final battle. And so the spirits, they says in verse 14, these are demonic spirits, meaning they're contrary to the will of God, performing signs, who go abroad to the kings of the whole earth to assemble them for battle on the great day of the Lord Almighty. In other words, the world is taking a final stance against the work of God. And that is what we have in this last battle. Now, we won't see the rest of the battle. Once again, we're going to have a little break from the action after this is described, and there's more descriptions here. But this is the final battle, and it had taken place in that river valley where many Old Testament battles took place, in the battle in the valley of Megiddo, by the mountain of Armageddon, Megiddo. And so we are preparing for that final battle. There will be more images coming up, but I'm just going to stop right there. And that's what you need to notice of this book, regardless of its timeline of when it comes to fruition. There's been other descriptions of decisive battles in the Old Testament. I can think of Ezekiel and his final battle with what are called Gog and Magog, and that will be mentioned again as we get farther along in the book of Revelation. But there was always the envision that the decisive battle of God would take place on Israelite soil, and that's battle of Megiddo. And so we are reminded again that this is the decisive battle of God with this sixth bowl, waiting for that seventh one to be the final bowl of judgment. God bless you today. We trust that these continue to be words of encouragement. And remember that you can repent. We can repent and turn to God. And while we see these things happening in the descriptions of the story, we are not found in them. We're found in the name and the power of Jesus Christ. Take care. God bless. We'll see you next time.